You know, in chemistry, some of the most crucial reactions, well, they're just impossible to measure directly. So, how do we figure out their energy? Today, we are going to dive into the incredibly clever shortcut that makes it all possible, Hess's Law. Let's get right into it. So, here's the central problem, right? What if you need to know the energy change for a reaction that's way too slow, maybe too dangerous, or just flat out impossible to actually run in a lab? How on earth do you get an answer? Well, that is the exact question that Hess's Law was born to solve.
Okay, the absolute best way to get your head around this is with an analogy. Picture yourself hiking up a mountain. You could take that super steep, direct path straight to the top, or you could take the long, winding trail that kind of meanders its way up. It doesn't matter, the total change in your altitude from the bottom to the very top is going to be exactly the same. Hess's law takes this exact same logic and applies it to chemical energy.
And that brings us to the official definition. The whole idea here is that the total heat change in a reaction, which chemists call enthalpy, is what's known as a state function. Now, that's just a fancy way of saying it only cares about where you start and where you end up, the reactants and the products. Just like your total climb on that mountain, the specific path you took to get there is totally irrelevant to the final outcome. Now, to use our hiking analogy, we're going to need a map with some pre-measured trails on it. In chemistry, these are our standard enthalpy changes. The two big ones you'll see all the time are the enthalpy of formation, that's the energy it takes to build 1 mole of a compound from its basic elements, and the enthalpy of combustion, which is the heat you get when you completely burn 1 mole of something. We're going to use these known paths to figure out our unknown one. And here's the really cool part. This isn't just some neat chemistry trick. It's actually grounded in one of the most fundamental laws of the entire universe, the conservation of energy. You can't just create or destroy energy out of nowhere, right? You can only change its form. Hess's law is simply what that universal truth looks like when you apply it to chemistry. So, how do we actually put this to work? Well, there are basically 3 main ways to use Hess's law. We can use standard data for formation or combustion, which is what we'll do, or you can get a little more hands-on by flipping and combining known chemical equations. Today, we're going to focus on the most common route by far, using the enthalpy of formation. All right, enough theory. Let's put this into practice. We're going to walk through a real-world example and calculate the energy change for a very common reaction, all using the formation route. So here's our goal. We want to find the enthalpy change when 1 mole of methane, the main gas in natural gas, burns completely in oxygen to make carbon dioxide and water. This is the reaction that happens in your gas stove every single day. To solve this, we need our map coordinates, and here they are, the standard enthalpies of formation for everything in the reaction. Now, you might notice that the value for oxygen, O2, is 0. Why? Well, think about it. How much energy does it take to form oxygen from oxygen? Exactly, none. It's already in its standard state. Here it is, the key formula. Now, I know it might look a little intense with those Greek letters, but the concept is unbelievably simple. All this is saying is that the total energy change of the reaction is the energy of everything you finished with minus the energy of everything you started with. It's just like our hike, final altitude minus starting altitude. That's it. Okay, let's just plug in the numbers from our data table. On the product side, we've got 1 mole of carbon dioxide at -394. And this part is absolutely crucial. We have 2 moles of water, so we have to multiply its value of -286 by 2. Then on the reactant side, we have 1 mole of methane at -75, and of course, our oxygen at 0. Now we just do the math. The total for our products comes out to -966. The total for our reactions is -75. So the whole thing simplifies down to -966 minus -75. And remember your math class. Subtracting a negative number is the same thing as adding a positive. And there it is, our answer. -891 kilojoules per mole. That negative sign is really important. It tells us the reaction is exothermic, which means it releases a whole bunch of heat. And just like that, using this simple shortcut, we've calculated the energy for this reaction without ever needing to step foot in a lab. Okay, so we've seen how it works, but what's the big deal? Why does this even matter? And what are the common mistakes people make when they try to use it? Let's get into the practical side of all this. I mean, Hess's law is incredibly useful in the real world. It's absolutely essential for industrial chemists trying to design more efficient processes, for engineers who are analyzing the energy content of different fuels, Really, it's the foundation for a huge range of other calculations in thermochemistry. It really is a cornerstone concept. Now, if you want to get the right answer every single time, there are a few key traps you need to avoid. The most common slip-ups are getting the positive and negative signs mixed up, doing the subtraction in the wrong order. Remember, it is always products minus reactants. And, this is a big one, forgetting to multiply the enthalpy values by the number of moles from the balanced equation. If you can remember those things, you're golden. And it really all comes back to this one simple but powerful idea, first figured out by Germain Hess almost 200 years ago. It's a beautifully simple principle. The destination is what matters, not the path you took to get there. And that really leaves us with one final thought. This whole principle of focusing on the start and the finish, instead of getting bogged down in the messy middle, is so powerful. If you step outside of chemistry, what problems in your own work, or even your life, could be solved by ignoring the path and just focusing on the destination? Thanks for joining me on this explainer.